Hi everyone, we are back after a tiny bit of time. We needed some break to recover from sickness, needed some vacation, needed some time off
Yeah.
from each other so that we miss each other and we miss you all, right?
Definitely.
So today, after taking our sweet time, we are gonna be looking back, doing a retrospective
Hmm.
of how the Coke Studio season went and what were our favorite songs and in which order and why.
Yeah. We'll
Do you want to
start.
add anything?
We are gonna start with number five, and it's important for each one of us to tell why we like that particular track so much, right? So there could be some
All right.
shockers, right? Could be.
All right. I'm interested. You have my attention now.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So we don't have a coin. I don't have a coin on my hand.
Try rock, scissors,
But
papers.
can we remotely do rock scissors papers?
I don't know.
All right. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
All right, and then we switch.
Okay.
We'll
All
do
right.
something like that. All right. So let's get into it, right?
Yeah. Let's get started.
Uh, Coke Studio season one, Coke Studio Bangla season one. It had 10 songs in
Hmm.
total,
Hmm.
or 11, including Bhinotar Utshab,
Hmm.
right? But what we're gonna do, just a disclaimer that this list is our own perception, our how we took it, how we like it is very subjective, right?
Yeah.
And based on how much we enjoy, how much it moves us, right? So, without further ado, I'm gonna get into my number fifth
Hmm.
on my list,
Hmm.
which is Bulbuli.
বাগিচায় বুলবুলি তুই ফুল শাখাতে দিশনে আজি দোল
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, Bulbuli. Why do I like Bulbuli? On number five, I there were multiple reasons. First of all, the song itself. What I really enjoyed in that song was the role playing done
Hmm.
by Ritu Raj and
Nandita.
the females Nandita. Yes,
Hmm.
the as I perceived that song, and we talked about this particular topic during the Bulbuli video as well.
Hmm.
I'm gonna link it up here. That I thought that Ritu Raj was role playing the role or the voice or the thoughts of the garden itself,
Hmm.
and Nandita was playing Bulbul,
Hmm.
and I felt that her voice was also very Bulbul
Complimenting.
like,
Yeah.
right? So that's something that I really enjoyed. Um, Along with the lyrics, the lyrics were also very beautiful.
Hmm.
So they weren't. I mean, they were very poetic, but they said a lot.
Hmm.
They could. I mean, if you divulge into it, if you dive deep into the lyrics,
Yeah.
uh, they had a lot of meaning, very beautifully conveyed, very beautifully, and how it was sung by, especially Ritu Raj. I really liked how he was singing his warm voice. Yeah, so Ritu Raj sang. The lyrics were written by Qazi Nazrul Islam,
Hmm.
right? And then the other part, Dol Dol Doloni. No, that was
That was in Nasik Nasik.
that was Nas Nasik. Yes, but the second part was written by Sayyid Ghausul Islam, right?
Hmm.
Sung by Nandita. And yeah, apart from that, the whole instrument, I mean, the musically, it was very mellow, very soft.
Hmm.
There was no, I mean, it suited the ghazal.
Hmm.
It was kind of a ghazal, right?
Yeah, it was.
Um, I really like the use of tabla
Hmm.
during that particular track, and the guitar play throughout the song. The use of different instrumentation instruments. some of those I don't even know the name.
Hmm.
So yeah, that this is why I love Bulbuli.
Okay.
I mean, it sits on my number five, but looking back, I really enjoyed that track.
Yeah. So just a disclaimer, and don't kill me for that. But Bulbuli is not in my list. It would have made number six because what I did was I when we decided to make this particular video, I went through all the tracks again. Some of them are already on my playlist, and I just started to cut the songs which are not gonna make to the top five. And it was really tough for me to decide the number fifth spot, and Bulbuli couldn't make it. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Tell me yours.
So my number five is Dokino Hawa.
শোনো গো দক্ষিণু হাওয়া প্রেম করেছি আমি
Okay, so Dokino Hawa, why I like it is because it is a very easygoing love song. The music complements the lyrics, especially for Madhubanti's part. So this song required a breezy feel, right? And they have done just right on this particular track. The beats, the tempo of the track never shifts, even during the transition, even when the San's part comes, it is seamlessly integrated. You don't really feel that any new song is being integrated or fused when Tessan starts singing. It feels like it's a one complete song. Um, the vocals, main vocals of Tessan and Madhubanti both. I mean, you have sent me message multiple times that you fell in love with Tessan's voice, and Madhubanti's voice is absolutely gorgeous. The way she has sang it, the casual tone that she has kept throughout is just beautiful. And I don't want to miss the backing vocals of this particular track. Janatul Firdaus and
Yes.
Rubaiyat have done brilliantly in this particular track. One thing that I want to mention is that there had been some controversy around this particular track, that it is a copy of Clairo's song Sophia, which was released back in 2019, I guess 2019 or 2020. But I personally think that it, it is a bit harsh, because it can definitely happen that due to similar chord progressions, two songs can sound the same. And I mentioned it in the comments as well that there is another song called Love Trap by an artist called Soko. She's an indie artist, and that track was released in 2016. And the chorus of that particular track, Love Trap, is very similar to Clairo's song as well. So does that make Clairo's song a copy? That I felt is a bit harsh, because we shouldn't call Tehsan's part a blatant copy. First of all, because Coke Studio Bangla's team is smart team. They know that everyone has internet access, and Clairo's song is way too popular to even touch. So I feel that the creative senses has converged in this particular track. So yeah, that's my thought around that particular controversy that the song sparked. And many people might not be liking that track, but yeah, I love that song.
I agree that sometimes you get a feeling that you have heard this before,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
but it should stay that way. It should stay there.
Yes, correct.
Okay, you might have heard this. There might be some similarities, but yeah, that's okay as long as it's not a chord to chord, note to note copy,
Correct.
right? Even the copyright defines a copy as you have seven notes in continuous notes
Yep.
as it
Yep.
is, and then it's a copy. If you have only six, then it's not. Anyways, so yeah, I agree with you.
All right. So I'll be going for number four as well, right? We are doing this way. Okay.
Do it.
So number four for me is Nasik Nasik.
नाचक नाच खापाला गेलं हिला আমরা
Okay, so I don't know if you have it on your list or not, but in terms of views, it is the most celebrated song of Coke Studio Bangla, if I'm not mistaken, and it deserves to be one of the most celebrated track of this particular season by all means. Um, why I love this particular track is that it was, if you read the description, it is mentioned that it was the month of International Language Day, right? Mother Tongue Day, or the Language Day that we call it. And we know that Bangladeshi people, they feel pride in their language. And what's interesting was that they were paying tribute to Hajong language, right? So it was an extremely beautiful sentiment, which requires special mention here. Um, Second thing, Onimesh Roy's energy is infectious. So throughout the song, he was dancing, he was even lip syncing the part which Pantokanai was singing. So he was completely involved in it. And for me, that was so beautiful. I just couldn't help but shake whenever I see him on the screen. And yeah, another thing that I want to mention about this track is that there is beautiful use of mandolin and percussions in this particular track. Specifically, the mandolin has been played beautifully by what's his name, Shubendo Das Shuvo. So Arnab regards him as one of the best acoustic guitar player, but he has done justice here with mandolin as well. And yeah, this is basically a personal anecdote. This is the first track, first ever Bangladeshi track which I listened to, and I mentioned in Nasik reaction video as well that the production team did not attempt to show off anything. They when you are on production seat or a producer seat, you are tempted to showcase everything, right? To elongate the song, to add so many musical elements to show your muscle, right? But they did not do it, and
Exactly.
they just kept it as a 4.5 minute song, and yet conveyed the message. So that was the brilliance for me in this particular track. Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. E- okay. I'm gonna go with my number four.
Yeah.
All right. On my number four, we have Dokino Hava.
শোনো গো দক্ষিণু হাওয়া প্রেম করেছি আমি
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So the thing with Dokinova, it completely captured me with Madhubanti and Tasan. Their vocals totally captured me. So as soon as the song was released and we heard it, and I kept telling him, as he was saying, I kept telling him that
Yep.
both of their voices, both of
Yep.
it just totally engulfed me.
Hmm.
So I mean, melody wise, beautiful melody. The way it was sung by Madhuvanti, very, I mean, or in a very contrasting way by Tasan. Not in terms of melody, but in terms of voices.
Yeah.
Right. Madhuvanti was very airy, very free flowing, but technically brilliant. Tasan was something about Tasan. So maybe I'm overstating here, but if you go back to when we watched Dokinova together, it I was totally stunned when Tyson came on screen, and as soon as he started singing, I was totally stunned. I was totally in the beat, and as soon as Tyson started, I was stunned by his voice. It was so beautiful, and then this is where I might be overstating that so far Tyson's voice is the most beautiful I have heard from Bangladesh male
You
singers.
kept on saying that to me. I know.
Right? It resonates with me so much. His voice has this brilliant vibration in my head that just hits the right spots. I kept humming his part for next days,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was his. I mean, if I go on and on about his voice. um, why it makes number four? Okay, before I um, express why it's number four and not higher, the beat. The beat was beautiful,
Yeah.
right? I love beat. I love where I a beat can move me, right, physically.
Yeah.
And throughout the song, it had a lovely beat, and I absolutely love it. I dig that part
Yeah.
personally. Very subjective. Now, the what a tiny part that I didn't like. Now, when we first heard it, we tend to overlook a lot of the things, and we tend to enjoy what's being presented, right? But over the time, I have heard Dokino so many times, so many times. And I agree with a sentiment one of our viewers mentioned. It was Farzana Shaheen, as far as I remember, that, excuse me, that this song could have been without saxophone. And I thought that, yeah, this song could have been without saxophone and would have been better.
Yeah.
And that was the only minute thing that I feel retrospectively. As you said that even today before this session, I actually went through all the songs, and while going through all the songs, I had throughout the seasons, I had known that this is my list, this is my top three, this is my top five, right? I had certain songs that I knew that this is gonna make the first one, the first position. But today, while I was going through the list, it actually completely shuffled. It tumbled my whole list in my head.
Okay.
So yeah, that's Zokin Hova.
One thing that I want to mention is that as soon as this particular track came, you instantly sent me a message, and I also mentioned it to you that this is definitely gonna make into my top five. So, but yeah, it is at number five for me. So, what is your number three then?
My number three, um, this particular track had always been my number two throughout the season, but this is the track that actually suffered from me listening to the whole season today.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's Prarthana.
আল্লাহ মেঘ দে পানি দে ছায়া দে রে তুই আল্লাহ মেঘ দে আল্লাহ মেঘ দে
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Prarthana, to begin with, from the very first time I heard, it was an instrumental genius, that track. Instrumental genius, absolutely. With a very soft start, very interesting instruments were used in that particular track. Again, I can't even name all the instruments that were used,
Yeah.
especially around percussions. The tempo and the pace increment throughout the track was done brilliantly, brilliantly. The sudden shifts in instruments, instruments. I remember around 2 minutes mark, there's a sudden shift,
Yeah.
and these kind of shifts are usually very jarring. But in this particular track, it came out so beautiful. One of my favorite moments
Yeah.
of this track, that when the instruments shift from one particular sound to another. This particular track, in my opinion, had the second best bass line. The bassist, I really love him. He was there, and the bass line is the second best throughout the season. I absolutely fell in love with the bass line when Prarthana came out, right? At that time, I was just mesmerized with that particular sound. I personally, subjectively, gravitate towards the sound of bass that particular song had. I mean, when you talk about bass guitars, you can have certain different sounds, right?
Yeah.
Very stringy bass, or very a boomy
Yep.
bass, right? This didn't had a very stringy bass in my opinion.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the,
Spot on.
when Mizan came on in this particular track, also the tabla came on with
Yep.
Mitunda, and that was also done brilliantly. One of very nice tabla additions.
Hmm.
This had also kavali element in it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So all in all, there was Onimus Ray standing with the backing vocals, and he was totally into it. Overall, that song was extremely enjoyable, and this is one of the songs that actually somehow puts a smile on my face whenever I hear it. I smile. I can't say the same thing about most of the tracks from Coke Studio, although I enjoy them, I love them, but this particular song somehow puts a smile, mostly because I enjoy the instrument so much. So overall, Prarthana for me is instrumental genius. This why it was always number two in my list throughout the season, and why this song holds a very high regard for me is this is the song which actually got me hooked to Bangla music.
Yep.
It wasn't Nasa Nasak.
Yep.
It was Prarthana. And when I heard Prarthana, I realized, wow, they are doing good music. And this is where actually the whole journey started.
For
Probably.
us. For
This
us.
is where the
Yes.
journey started. For us, the gateway to Bangla music was Prarthana, not even Nasa Nasak.
Yep.
So Nasa Nasak I heard, I liked. It was the first thing. It was a small sample size, but Prarthana was, yeah, it blew me away.
All right. So my number three is probably it's your number two. It's Bover Pagal.
পাগল 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 করিস না পাগল ছাড়া দুনিয়া চলে না
Okay, so you came up with a term for this particular track when we listened to it together, and it was beautiful chaos. And that term still holds. This term describes this song perfectly. And I mean, probably this is one of the few times I'm just agreeing with you, maybe, but this term was just a brilliant term that you coined, and this song was one of the most beautiful tracks in terms of arrangement that I listened in 2022. And
Absolutely.
just talking about the arrangement. So there are few tracks that trumps every other track in my playlist in terms of musical arrangement, and it is one of those sounds. Each and every instrument combined in pinches, just like pinches to create this mayhem, right? So the instrumentation of the entire track, including the beautiful bass that has been done in this particular track. The bass was just, for me, this was the second best bass of this particular bass line for this particular season. And here I felt that the saxophone complemented the arrangement
Yes.
beautifully. It was done amazingly well. What I loved, two things I loved most about this particular track. One was Nigar Sumi's powerful voice. So she has an extremely powerful voice and tinge just a tiny bit of madness. And the way she sings, she has that throw, that punch in her voice, and amazing vocal range, which just took that song to another level. And I feel that her song, her voice, basically is the right fit for folk or Sufi kinds of song, which sends you into a trance. So if you listen to it, I mean, we used to listen to Junoon, and their song has this quality that it can make you just forget everything, and her voice has that particular quality. And when you combine or throw in Jalali Said's rap part in this particular track, that song was instant. And I still remember that when I listened to first 15 seconds of that particular track, I dropped you a message that absolutely mind-blowing track. I hadn't even listened to the
It
full
was
track, but it was so amazing.
just the intro.
Just the intro. And the intro of this particular
Yes,
track, for me personally, is so misleading. I thought that the song is going to be um, like Shobloko Koi, the one that we heard. I thought it was more into a soothing or comforting or mellow side. But the way the song shifts gear after first few seconds, it was just amazingly done. One of the most amazing arrangements. I keep on saying that one of the most amazing arrangements that I have listened in 2022. So yeah, now let's jump on to number two. This track actually is very close number one. Very close number one. And the track is Prarthana.
আল্লাহ মেঘ দে পানি দে ছায়া দে রে তুই আল্লাহ মেঘ দে আল্লাহ মেঘ দে
So you already have summed it up pretty beautifully. For me personally, Prarthana, if you listen to the intro of this particular track, just first 20-30 seconds when Mumtaz Begum starts to sing and then the instruments start to kick in. It's hands down one of the most beautiful intros I have heard. One of the most beautiful intros with minimal use of keys. And I was looking for the instrument with the clapping and tapping instrument. It's called, I think, kartal or something, because it's mentioned in the description. Keys plus that tapping instrument plus Mumtaz Begum's voice. The intro was just gorgeous, gorgeous intro. And what I loved about this particular track, I mean, I was head over heels when Mumtaz Begum's part was being done, and the bass line of this particular track for me for this season is the best. It feels like it's a free flowing river. So when you are basically connecting notes, right? When you are jumping from one note to another, there can be
exactly.
different ways of doing it. You can do it very hard, but you can do very smooth transition from one note to another. And this
Actually,
particular
this is. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
no,
go ahead.
this for me, this particular track has a free flowing bass. So I love the bass part of this particular track. And also one thing which was underappreciated in this track was the use of harmonium. So you already said that the track is in terms of musical arrangement, it's a brilliant track, and harmonium was used really beautifully in this particular track. And I mean, this track had everything. You mentioned the part of Kawali, the Hamnawaz singing and jumping in when Mizan was singing, and Mizan's vocal range, even though he had a very short span, but his vocal range was at full display in that particular track. So I just wanted to have this track as my number one, but yeah, very by a very tiny margin.
I want to just add before I forget that while listening to Prarthana multiple times, even today, I did get a feel that some parts through music, some parts felt like rain, some parts
Yep,
felt like flowing river.
yep,
As you mentioned, and it just clicked. I remembered that it did through instrumentations. It was, I mean, it was talking about rain, Allah make de, chaya de.
Pani de chaya de.
So
Yeah,
exactly, rain and flowing river, and it was so beautiful, brilliantly done. I mean, it was absolute genius, absolute genius. So yeah, that was your number three, number two.
number two. Yes.
That was your number two.
Now to your number two.
All right, my number two has always been number one. It had always been number one, and this also fell prey to my listening to the whole season today, and you guessed it right. I don't know how you guessed it, but you guessed it right. It had always been number one. Bhopar Pago,
Yeah.
absolutely.
পাগল 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 করিস না পাগল ছাড়া দুনিয়া চলে না
So again, arrangement wise, as you said, I think you have also summed it up pretty well. But I would just add my thoughts. I thought actually the intro was very dark. It wasn't very Sufi music kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was very dark, but that is part of the chaos. That became part of the mayhem,
Yeah.
right? Instrument again. This song to me was also an instrumental genius, not as much as Prarthana, but right up there. Very dark intro. This is one of the songs where I also enjoyed the music video a lot. I love the music video because of so many elements. The wardrobe, I love the wardrobe. Everyone's wardrobe, right? Even Jalali said where they came on a set, I thought that they just came on with their own wardrobe, but everyone else, it was so fitting, so fitting. That song to me had the best bass line,
I knew that.
and and that bass line is ingrained, embossed in my head. It is absolutely. I mean, I still hum it. One of the best. Now, Nigar Sumi's performance, you have already said enough. I loved her. She added a lot of madness. But now that I have heard this song so much, in the beginning when we heard it together, it was all about Nigar Sumi. But since then, I actually come to appreciate Jalali Set more and more. So I wouldn't say that I am a very hardcore hip hop fan, but we do listen to hip hop from Pakistan and from India because hip hop is because it has rap and it's
Yeah.
very difficult to understand, right? So that's why we tend to gravitate towards language that we understand, also English.
Yeah.
We listen to youngsters and all, but their delivery, their rhyme schemes, it was so brilliantly done. The four guys when they were rhyming together, I actually enjoyed Jalali's set performance so much. I look forward to their performance. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. The backing vocals in this particular track absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it.
100%.
Not only with Jalali said, but elsewhere as well.
Yep.
The backing vocals was brilliant in this particular track. Now the electric guitars, the rhythm guitars, were top notch, absolutely top notch. It had two solos, two guitar solos. The first one was pretty nice. The first one was going on with backing vocals, which was nice. I like the second one more.
Yep.
Then it had a do tara element in between as well, which was also very nicely done. I mean, there were transitions in this track from guitar solo to rap to do tara to, and everything. Everything was beautiful chaos. Beautiful chaos. Nothing was out of place. The second, as far as I remember, the second solo was more fun for me. It was just more fun. It was accentuating the chaos of that particular track.
Yep.
What else? The tabla. The tabla. When the tabla kicks in after the second solo, as far as I remember,
After the second solo. Yes.
right? It was so
It was
brilliantly
the
done.
moment. The moment.
It was right, and it was so chaotic as well. Right at the outro of the solo, the tabla kicks in, and the tabla didn't even kick in a manner that it gradually
Yep.
tempos up.
It's just the
It just in your
in your
face,
face. Yeah, I was going to say that.
in your face. And when I heard it for the first time, my reaction the first time I heard it is same since then. Whenever I hear that piece,
Yeah.
the tabla kicks in, I have a similar reaction. I kind of wake up from the trance. Okay, what happened? So yeah, I think this particular track, I enjoy the track a lot. It's one of my favorites. It was number one, but it didn't remain number one. The music video, I think this was the most enjoyable music video out
Yeah.
of all for me.
Yeah.
Nigar Sumi's performance, Larissa performance, the wardrobe and everything.
Mithun Chakra, come on.
Mithun Chakra, absolutely, everyone,
Yeah,
every
he's
single
beautiful.
person,
Yeah.
even Arnab playing Dotara,
Yeah.
right? The way he was enjoying himself, and this was also something that makes it very special. Everyone on the set was enjoying themselves so much,
Yeah.
and it adds to the overall enjoyment. So yeah, that's my number two.
All right, we are coming to the end of the list. So, what is your number one? I think our number one is the same.
Probably, probably. My number one is Chilte Road.
चलते रोदे पखना डोबाয় মুচকি হাসে শহর তলি
Is it yours as well?
Yeah.
So Chilte Road, throughout the season, since Chilte Road came out, it was my number three. It had been my number three because only because I avoid it like a plague. I don't. I skip it so fast. Whenever it comes on, I skip so fast. I just avoid it. Yeah, I think throughout the season, I had been avoiding Chilter Road, mostly because it was so traumatizing when I heard it. Right? But today, when I heard it again, I just couldn't help myself admire, love, and again, even today, it was invoking all those emotions that I felt when I heard it first time for the first time.
Yeah.
So why Chilter Road is top of my list? First of all, this particular song, in my opinion, had the most beautiful intro.
Yeah.
The intro was soft, soothing, warm. One of the most beautiful intros. The kind of instruments used throughout the song, especially during intros, were also spot on. The percussions and all. I think this song had the best flute piece
Yeah. Hands down.
throughout, hands down. Of all the songs throughout the season, this song had the best flute piece. The Arnab's voice and his delivery with his lower notes. I mean, we have heard Arnab elsewhere as well. We have heard his songs from his own albums, right? But here, along with his lower notes and his beautiful voice, what I love the most is the communication of helplessness that he conveyed, the emotion of helplessness that he had in his verses. And there was this contrasting emotion from Ripun, where he was just wailing. He was just wailing in pain. On the other hand, Arnab was portraying a sense of helplessness. His verses, his delivery is brilliant, brilliant. His voice, although I do feel that Tassin's voice, in my opinion, is one of the best male voice I've heard. But Arnab is just wicked. he is wicked, cunning, and when it comes to saying more than doing more with less. You know, he uses his own voice in so many ways and still manages to convey the emotions that he wants to so brilliantly.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I love throughout the song. The musically, it is a very soft and warm song. It has this warmth. The use of Shanai was lethal.
Lethal.
And
Absolutely
this
lethal.
and this particular absolutely lethal use of Shanai, right? And I also thought that the backing vocals throughout the track did a brilliant job. Very soothing. I wouldn't say soothing. I mean, how should I put it? It was very nice, very gentle,
Hmm.
right? Complimenting Arnab and all. So overall, Chilte Road, um, musically, if analytically, it's a brilliant song. But uh, why it jumped to the first place today, and it wasn't, because when I heard it today, along with the whole album, I came to a realization that if a song, if any piece of art can move you this much emotionally,
Hmm.
like it did to us, like it did to so many people, if any piece of art can move you
Yeah.
emotionally, physically, then it is something special. And that's what makes Chilte Road so special. That yeah, even now, after we have heard it multiple times, it has the same effect.
Absolutely. It is still has the same effect. And no surprises here. It's also the top song for me for this particular season as well.
चलते रोदे পাখ না ডোবায় মুচকি হাসে শহরতলি
I still remember I hadn't heard Arnab before this particular track. So people, not a lot of people, but some of our viewers mentioned in the comments, or maybe someone sent a message to me on Instagram, I don't recall, but they said that you should listen to Arnab's voice. They kept on saying that, but my understanding was that okay, when you are a music producer, I always thought that he is the genius of composing things, arranging things, bringing things together. I hadn't had a clue that his voice would be like that. So when he started singing this particular track, first of all, the intro, I completely agree with you, one of the most beautiful intros. Prarthana takes a slight edge in terms of that for me personally. I like Prarthana's intros more, but this is hands down very close second. The way flute has been introduced in the beginning is just amazing, amazingly done. And Arnob's voice was the biggest surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't ready for that. So there are certain voices which literally makes you feel emotional, makes you cry. And Arnob has
Exactly.
that particular quality. Even if you would probably listen to him without an instrument, he would sound absolutely melancholic for me. And why this particular track is at the top of my list is because of the vocal diversity that we see in this particular track by both the singers. Musically, it might be number two for me after Pradna, but the way both Ripon and Arnav has sung, the contrast that they have created, and not only the contrast, but the way two different songs are feeling like a conversation between two different parties, not entirely in a romantic way. So some people might take it as a romantic song for longing or for separation as well. But we
Who
know,
don't understand the lyrics,
yes,
or
yeah,
who don't understand the language.
yeah, absolutely. But we know what this song was basically trying to convey, or someone may interpret it slightly differently. But the contrast of both the voices was I hadn't heard something like that in recent past. Um, there have been multiple songs where more than one singers have been performing, but these two just took the breath away, especially um, I didn't know about Bhavaya song. So many viewers educated us that what Ripon was doing was that wailing is basically the Bhavaya song that is being sung. And I started to listen to that particular genre a bit and exploring further, and I realized what a masterful person Ripon is. He is extremely, extremely talented. I watched the BTS of this particular track, and I think one of the house band members they said that this guy can literally kill you with his voice, and it's absolutely true. It's the wailing is. is basically what took this song to another level. So I was enjoying Arnav's part that much, and Ripon literally ripped apart my heart when he started just crying. It was excruciating pain that he delivered through his voice, which was everything for me. We talked about Shanai. We discussed it during, I think, our reaction video as well. That Shanai is generally we relate to Shanai as a wedding instrument, so the instrument that is being played on weddings. But here, the way they have used Shanai is just
Lethal.
you use the word correctly. It's lethal, absolutely lethal. It brought back so many memories just listening to the Shanai part that I cannot even imagine it would have done. So yeah, you already mentioned it. It's the song which might not be musically that amazing or that brilliant. I mean,
Although it is. Although it is.
although it is, but in comparison, but
Yeah.
it's still the song makes you move. It tingles your emotions, and that's what the good music is about. Yeah.
So now that we have come to an end of our own list of top five,
Hmm.
I would urge you all to not only mention your top five, but let us know why, at least about your top song,
Yeah.
that your most favorite of the season. That why did you think that okay, this makes number one? Let us know and help us change our mind.
By the way, I'm going to listen to these five songs again tonight. So,
Right. Yeah, yeah. One thing, another thing I want to add is that you can also go back to watch our videos we did for all these Coke Studio songs, minus Chilter Road, which has been which has been taken down by YouTube on the request of people
yeah.
who owns this piece of music. Also, maybe Dokino Hawa might go away pretty soon. That's next on their hit list. So yeah, Dokino Hawa might be another
Casualty.
casualty.
Hmm.
Anyways, go. You would find probably similar talking points that we were saying here, and I mean we had similar opinions.
Hmm.
We did have some new opinions because on those videos we were hearing the song for the very first times, but now that we have heard so many times retrospectively, we can have different opinions. So yeah, let us know what you think, and
Until
you want to add
then,
anything?
no,
No?
nothing more to
Cool.
add. Just want to know our viewers' top five or top three even.
Yeah. All
All
right.
right, then let's conclude it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And thank you so much for enjoying this journey with us. We hope that Coke Studio Season 2 comes pretty soon. It was one of our medicines. So we are out of drugs now. So yeah, we'll see you on the next one then. Until then, take care. Goodbye.
Bye bye.